It's just tasty.
We should go Cravendale.
Oh yeah.
Because my girlfriend doesn't eat dairy. So Cravendale, it lasts a while.
Where's your girlfriend vegan?
No, she's a vegetarian, but she doesn't eat dairy.
Oh, it's because she's lactose intolerant.
Yeah. You know,
That's
nowadays...
don't say... That's because you don't want to talk about it, but it doesn't seem like a yes.
No, I think it is that, but I think it is also ethical. But, eggs...
Ethical, and she'll shit herself if she eats too much dairy.
Yeah.
So it's like a coincidence. It's like, I would be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But also, if I did eat it, I blow up like a balloon.
Because to be fair, I know a lot of people who are lactose intolerant who still drink milk. And then they're like, oh, I've got the shits.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Do you know how rare lactose intolerance is around the world?
No.
It's crazy that it's only really in it's rare here. In Northern Europe, it's like 5% of the population.
Yeah.
In
Weak
China,
people.
80%.
Yeah.
80.
It's because I guess there's no milk there.
Yeah. But is it what came first?
What do you mean?
The milk, or was it? What is there no milk there because they're not drinking? They can't drink milk, or because they just didn't drink milk, they became intolerant to it.
I think it's just like as a people,
Yeah.
they didn't feel like they wanted to drink it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, escalates. Because the reason why, because some Asians, right, they are missing an enzyme that makes them get drunk quicker, right?
Okay.
And makes their cheeks red.
Okay.
And this is because they invented in Asia, they knew how to purify water. Whereas in Europe, we didn't know. So we just used to drink beer as children.
Yeah.
So now that is ingrained in us because we were stupid and drunk beer as children.
Because it's beer's cleaner than water.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
But now it means we are stronger in our ability to process alcohol. Do you think that's good or bad?
I think that's good. But there's loads of Asians who bloody Koreans will drink.
Yeah,
on the
well, I think
table.
it's genes.
Yeah.
It's not all tied to one race isn't the exact same type of person.
Yeah,
you can break it subsets.
But do you know that
subgenres.
it's you're getting? I think you each have on your top trump cards racial genetics. There's pros and cons. We can stomach alcohol better, but Koreans, it's actually quite specific to the Korean. So it's not Asians in general, it's Koreans.
Yeah.
They don't produce body odor.
That's so good.
How mad is that? So on Korean TV, it'll be a classic roast would be this guy uses deodorant. He must really smell. So the idea that you have to use deodorant means that you're fucking filthy. Where as stinky white men, it's it's just assumed if you don't use deodorant, it's weird. And so that's why their skincare, they're just it seems like they're basically the cleanest people in the world because they're obsessed with skincare and hygiene and stuff. Yeah. But I think they naturally don't produce body odor even when they sweat. Yeah,
good cinema as well.
Great barbecue as well. I love
great
that.
Food. I'd say it's a top tier nation.
It's popping off at the moment. South or north? Which one are you talking about?
I'd say both, but I feel like North Korea is.
I like how they're a little peninsula, and they're both They're both popping off in very different ways, but they are succeeding in what they're trying.
Yeah.
Because South Korea, they're fully kind of a capitalist nation, which is just fully lent into just becoming this metropolitan cultural
good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, great Wi-Fi, just technological nation. They don't have the same eyes of them as Japan and China. Yeah. But that means they can have a bit of time to work away in the shadows for a bit.
Yeah, it's more it's like Lisbon as a holiday destination compared to Barcelona's all right, mate.
Yeah. It's where you go on holiday and then you go Lisbon. Oh, Lisbon. Yeah. Another fact is now we're on.
But wait, can I just bring you back? North Korea? You say what are they doing well?
What they're doing well is that they've set out to be a totalitarian control regime where everyone believes everything's going well because that's what they're told. and they're smashing that out of the park.
Yeah, they are actually doing it. And we know so little about them. It's actually quite mad.
It is mad, and it's like, what I respect about them is that I think a lot of the North Koreans are probably quite happy because they genuinely have no idea. They're thinking their football team's smacking. Like, imagine being told on the news that like England have won the World Cup, and like there's no way you can find out. I'd love for England to win the World Cup. That's genuinely that'd be one of the highlights of in my life. I'm desperate for England to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
And if I go to my deathbed thinking we've won the World Cup because like a dictator controls the news and tells me, is that so bad?
It's it's kind of like, you know, the Matrix, you know, the blue pill, red pill.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot like that. They're fully in the... I forgot which colour's which.
Yes, I did that. That's why
red pill is what's used for like alt-right incels online.
So I think they are like
they've taken the red... Yeah.
Ben Shapiro is Morpheus.
Yeah, like they're like Neo going like, women belong to carry on doing housework. It's like the most disappointing... It's like you've gone through the Matrix, you see reality, and the reality you see is like, if women sleep with more than one guy, they are whores. That's like, that's like the rush of truth comes into your head, and it's quite a disappointment. It's a really sad reality. If they've taken the red pill and we're living in this fake reality, that's a really like disappointing truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost, I guess it another support of the blue pill, you know?
Yeah.
Live in denial. Like some North Koreans.
North Korea, man. I bet depression is higher in South Korea than North Korea. I'm just pure speculation at this point.
Yeah, because I mean,
North Koreans are being put into like labour camps and stuff like that, but you're not really depressed in the labour camp because you're like, it's just full on oppression, isn't it?
I think when you are starving and it's not, because you have like base things to worry about, you know? Like there was never a depressed caveman.
No, exactly. That's
or was there? You know, we don't actually know.
Yeah, but he wouldn't last long. Because like part of depression is that you stay in bed all day, and like in modern society, you can order food to your room. You can the government can give you welfare if you don't get a job and stuff like that, and like you can stay in bed all day and still survive. Yeah. But like the depressed caveman, he's not going to be like staying until like 1 p.m. just staying in the cave. Yeah. Because no one's bringing him any food, are they?
Yeah, but what if they are though? It's like
what feeding is habit.
Yeah, it's like a tribe that gets on, you know. Yeah. Cavemen lived in tribes.
Yeah,
right?
I know they lived in tribes, but I think
did they?
They did. They did. Well, it depends. It's like we talk about cavemen, like we will talk about like the Tudors and the Stuarts, which were like 20 years apart, as like completely different eras. And then cavemen, which covers like 10 million years. We'll just talk about like it was just it was just like the Flintstones, just consistent. It was literally so long. Like at the beginning of it, we were like half monkey. Yeah. And by the end of it, we'd like found fire and shit. But that was like over 10 million years, and it's still like, it's a long period. But was there a point I was making? I forgot. It was about no, I think it's gone. Should we properly get into the podcast now?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Boys Gone Wild. This is the election special. It wasn't meant to be the election special because I was having a conversation with my friend Harry Monaghan, who's the guest today, and I decided to invite him on the podcast in quite like a spontaneous, we're getting along, come down to the podcast. I thought it would be like a cool thing, like how like Joe Rogan does it. It's just, come on down, like, come on in. And then I realised we were recording it pretty much the day after the election, and so we have to talk about the election. We can't just pretend it hasn't happened. So we're going to have to do an election special. And then the expert I've got on to discuss the US elections is another white, straight British male who's got similar build to me and similar sense of humour, who really, conversationally we'll get on fine because we're basically with the same person. But we're not going to be giving particularly varied, not only lack of diversity in skin colour, but lack of diversity in opinions. I mean, after I'd already invited Harry, I'd realised that I could have got Filio Huff on, who was on the pod recently as well, who's a black American, who this election actually has a potentially great deal of effect for him, his family, his life, his culture. Like, it's really a lot is at stake for him, and he always speaks incredibly eloquently on American politics. Russell Hicks, who's a white American comedian, but has moved to America and has like a very interesting view on American politics in general. I could have had both of them on, and now the election special has come around, and I'm sort of, it was too awkward for me to uninvite Harry, but he's one of the funniest people I know, but you know, unlikely you'll make it though. You think?
I would say odds are, I'd say probably lower than you because you're younger than me.
Yeah, I'm younger than you. Oh, because we talk, so like Harry, who I think for like actual being genuinely funny is one of the really funny people, but I don't see much of a chance because it's like me and you are fighting over the same spot. Yeah. You know, we'll be the same seat on the panel show. We're not both going. I won't be looking across Mock the Week, and you'll be sitting there. Yeah,
because there's going to be one of us. There's going to be like a character white guy when Hugh Dennis dies. Yeah. There's a one-liner white guy, and then those are the spots. And I can't do one-liners.
Nor can I.
Or characters.
No, we just speak from the soul. Yeah. And no one wants white guys speaking from the soul anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Some people do, but they're the wrong sorts. That is the issue. That is the issue. There's actually quite a lot of people who I feel like would back me. Yeah. But it's like, do you want their backing?
No. Me and Harry have only really met like 5 or 6 times, but but the reason why I always feel he's sort of semi-linked to the spirit of the podcast is because before lockdown happened, we'd planned to make a sort of entertainment conglomerate, which would involve a podcast, which we'd be doing together. We had all these huge plans, and then because of lockdown, I was alone, and I made Boys Gone Wild. But the original kind of Boys Gone Wild was going to be the Gucci Gang podcast. Yeah. The entertainment corporation, Gucci Gang, which I still think we have scope to potentially do.
Yeah, because the thing about luxury and fashion is it never...
So it was a high-end... It's a high-end luxury fashion podcast hosted by me and Harry, where we would like... Every week we'd discuss different luxury things like G6 planes, Paris, Pitbull, Miami. Yeah. And like there was a lot of huge plans to like really affect culture, I think. Because I think we'd be like... It'd be like a turning point in culture where it would change like the vernacular in which people would just talk about things in general. Like we had things to like, which I'm still hoping to bring into everyday. Say like, oh, that's so Miami, as like like a descriptive, like using like fashion cities as like adjectives. Like that's Paris. That's last night was so Paris. Yeah, you know, and they all mean slightly different things. You know, Paris is classy, sophisticated. Miami's kind of like, you know, tropical and hot and kind of liberated. Yeah.
Dubai.
But they're such... Dubai might be one of the purest luxury things. And every episode we'd discuss the question, is it fashion? And we'd be covered head to toe in Gucci. Yeah. That would be our main kind of... We'd have a lot of brand loyalty. And we had loads of ideas of us like going to Paris Fashion Week and interviewing models. And like the dream would be we'd finally actually crack into like really high society fashion world, but we'd be dressed like this. You'd be wearing like your fleece selections and your kind of dad fashion, and the dream would be on the next to Anna Wintour in the front row, still dressed like just dirty white guys.
And look, it can still happen for us,
for sure.
You know, look at Joe Biden. He's 80 years old.
He is
next president of the United States.
He's going to be the next president. So I know it's been quite a while of us just chatting absolute shite. You probably clicked on here hoping that you'd actually have a view on the election soon. We're getting to it, but it's a beast to crack into. We were meant to shoot this yesterday, but the president wasn't chosen in time, and it felt it wouldn't be a great podcast if we were discussing. Yeah.
And it really was in the balance.
We really had no idea. I mean, to be honest, genuinely, because I'm going to release this on tomorrow, and it's Thursday today. Let's just check, because who knows, Trump might have won, you know.
I've heard we might know by 2 p.m. Eastern time.
When's
Eastern
that?
US time.
But by the time people are watching this, they'll know.
So they'll probably know.
So we're gonna assume. Let's just assume now, because for people watching Friday morning, we need to assume one of them's won, or else this becomes a really boring podcast.
So we'll assume Biden.
We're gonna act like Biden's won.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, know that we recorded another one where we assume Trump won.
So to kick it off, what has your last 48 hours been?
I woke up, as I always do.
It's classic. It's vintage Harry.
And I thought it was looking like Trump's going to win, right? He was ahead.
Yeah, in the polls he was getting up, yeah.
So I looked at that and I thought, same again. Please, Barman, you know? But then it turned, and we've sort of been waiting. They haven't counted all the votes, which I didn't really know was going to happen, but apparently people knew was going to happen. But now Biden is in pole position. He's won Arizona, and Trump has done a speech saying he's actually won. And I think that is the news story.
Would you say it's now 50-50?
Because Biden's actually won, and Trump said he's won.
To be fair, Trump did say he's won.
And he did say it first as well. So, if that... And the thing is...
I think it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court, where it's like, Biden's got more votes and has won in the electoral college system, but Trump's convinced that he's won. Yeah. So we're going to have to flip a coin on this one, boys.
And it was... I think we kind of knew Trump was going to not go quietly, right? And I think everyone was expecting a huge backlash. What is going to happen? But absolutely, it seems like no other Republican other than Rudy Giuliani has come out and backed him.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rudy's just trying to, drop down in the news cycle, him getting wanked off by Borat's daughter. So he's like, I've got to be trending in a different kind of way. Like he's probably
if there's any time to get blackface out, it was now, because that will really shoot.
That's the thing.
Down. He's
probably this whole week before this happened, he's probably been doing big events that didn't make the news to try and it's like Rudy Giuliani turns up at a pie eating contest, and he's trying to tweet about it, but it's not picking up. And now he's Trump's giving him the call come on, the rats have fled. You're all I've got left.
What it feels like is it's like in one of those kind of it's sort of like in Goodfellas or The Godfather, or those kind of archetypical American and Italian mobster films, where it's once you're in power, you've got all the friends in the world, but as soon as it looks like you're losing power, he's like a made man. It's when Joe Pesci goes up to become a made man and they shoot him in Goodfellas. It feels like that. Now that his power's slipping away, all his friends are disappearing.
Yeah, because all his backing was based on the fact that he won. It wasn't. He was a complete outsider. Everyone hated him, and then he won, and everyone seemed to love him.
Did you see the way that it was in the Republican primaries when he was? That was like Trump on some of his. At the time when I was so against Trump and terrified of Trump winning, because I wasn't ready for reality. I wasn't ready for reality to be at this notch. The doomsday clock to be notched up that. So I still was in that thing where things might be all right. Yeah. So I wasn't enjoying Trump as much as I am now, even though he was doing some of his best work early on. Him in the Republican primaries in 2016, when he was roasting Jeb Bush, just flattening Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, Mark Rubio, just destroying. That was him. That was some of his best work. Literally treating it like a Comedy Central roast. Incredible. Because him with Biden this time, he just interrupts him the whole time, and it's it's still funny, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have as much craft to it as some of his Jeb Bush burns. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they've had 4 years to prepare for Trump now. They've seen the tape. It's when there's a boxing world champion, it's they've been studying. The challenger is unknown.
Yeah.
So he's come along and he's basically the same as Hillary, right? But he's just a bit more prepared.
Just a bit better foreign policy. That's literally it.
Bit less, like charity kind of theft, was it? I don't know.
Yeah, just the
private jets on charity.
I think what's interesting about this result, which is what's Trump being in for 4 years, is proven that Trump's done a couple of really terrible things. There's like 3 or 4 really bad things, like the climate change thing, the kids in cages, things that I don't think Hillary would have done.
Yeah.
But in general, it's the realization that centrist politics are not too far off the far right. Do you know what I mean? How like Blairite kind of stuff, like Cameron, Hillary Clinton. In general, it's not going to be that much different, apart from they're going to pretend they don't hate the poor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think with Trump, he is a very particularly a kind of risk taker. And I think if you look at his business history, there's a lot of success and there's a lot of failure, right? Because he takes risks. Trump Stakes, Trump University, the list goes on. And I feel like he approached the way he dealt with China, North Korea, all of these things are very, I'm putting all the cards on the table here. And I don't think any other politician would do that, because they're like, well, things could go bad and like America as we know it could die.
Yeah.
Whereas he's like, yeah, but also we could beat China. So he's like gone for it. And I feel like Americans love that. The Americans that voted for him are just like, yeah, because they grow up thinking America is the best country in the world. Not even knowing that America is the best country in the world. Whereas like, look, I'm not here to say like America's shit. It's definitely top 10, probably top 5.
It's got to be top 5, because it smashes other countries out of the water. There's different ways to measure what's the best country in the world, and even though you can say America's shit for those things, they do smash a couple of metrics out the park.
By far, like,
there's a couple of metrics that must go into what makes the best country that America has to. It has to be. They have to be in the conversation in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
they've got to be in the conversation. It's like a basketball star who like has the most rebounds or stuff like that, or like did the most 3-pointers. It's like you've got to have them in the conversation.
Yeah, I feel, and even America is kind of like, if we're using the basketball, it's like points scored, they're number one.
By the way, we are using the basketball.
Yeah, it's like points scored, they're number one. And that is essentially what it's all about.
It's true. But now you can say that was like the way they got the money. It's like, when everyone chat shit when Chelsea were dominating. It's like, how do they get the money? So you can chat shit about that. Fine, that's fair. Yeah. But you have to look at those points, and then at the end of the day, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. America has the points, and now everyone's like, oh, actually, rebounds are what win games.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
they're not.
Points win games and rebounds are important, and in this analogy...
Would you say rebounds is like healthcare?
You know what I'm saying.
It's amazing how I guessed that. See, this is why it's a problem having you to discuss the US elections, because we both basically have used convoluted basketball analogies and know exactly what we mean.
Yeah, and no basketball knowledge. We've just watched The Last Dance. Obviously, that is what it is. Like,
did you hear me go rebound and 3-pointers and then stop? Because that was as far as I could do. They definitely dominate. But I feel the American empire is collapsing.
Is it?
No. No, it's not as much as everyone says it is. But after World War II, 1945, America had 50% of the world's GDP.
Yeah, because everyone else got bombed to shit.
Europe, at the time, the only real other like superpower, Europe, Russia, Japan.
The only real country, you can say it.
The only ones who were like, because for a while Europe was, America was like Europe's little brother.
Yeah.
And then Europe imploded on itself, just internally just bombed the shit out of each other, completely fucked up. Yeah. And then America basically was there to clean up all the winnings. It went all in and it won everything. 50% of the world GP, they dominated. Since then, it's gone way, way down, and it's consistently kept on going down. And now we're starting to see like the visible decline, like with the it's starting to reach the end. It's in its downward trajectory. I think it's going to take much longer than people think, but it's heading down, and China's coming in. But as British people, it's interesting because it's like, I feel.
Do you think we're on the up?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm saying that there's a lot America can learn from our mistakes, or like the classless way that we went out of power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like still, it's like, it's more, what I'm trying to say to Americans is like, your time's coming up slowly.
Yeah.
Our time was finished in the end of the Second World War, and we did not go out with grace. And I'm just saying, look for British people, as we're people who we're growing up in the ruins of an empire now. It's still just like the rubble. Just like, trust us when it's like, we've been there. So just do it with more grace, because we're going to end up being like Greece's now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be, and then America's going to be what we are now. Do you know what I mean? In like,
oh yeah, I see. Because Greece was
like
Italy.
it was like the cradle of civilization, and now it's like its economy's fucked, and like that's what Britain's going to become. But it's about managing it with grace.
You almost need to, because if you look at, say, a Germany or a Japan, shamed, right, beaten, defeated, but they've come back stronger.
Yeah,
because they have they're not holding on to what they once were, because that would be racist, you know.
Yeah.
Nazis.
Yeah.
You've heard of them.
What's amazing about Journey to Japan is like when you're like first start reading history, like modern history as a kid, and you start being like, wait, hang on. So Germany and Japan did all this shit and then got absolutely annihilated. Britain was like one of the three major countries to win the war. How the fuck are they absolutely dominating us completely? Yeah. Like, how shit was that management? That it's literally like, you've won the biggest war there's ever been.
Yeah.
And you end up in a worse position than the people you beat.
And it's not that long ago. Like, I was watching Chelsea play, Chelsea match, and
He's a Chelsea fan.
We've got two new players, Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, and they were doing the Memorial Day Poppy minute of silence, and they were looking very awkward because their granddads.
Yeah, especially because they have that look. Because there's loads of different Germans. There's loads of different types, but there's a couple of football players you see who's like, oh yeah, that's.
Yeah, whereas there are a few like,
you know, Ozil, his granddad was not fighting for the Nazis, and but Bastian Schweinsteiger, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
They used his face on a Nazi doll, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I think he sued them or something.
I mean, it's fair enough, but also, was it his face or was it just generic Nazi? But did you find, we will get back to the US election, it's just we need to cover this first. Did you find when you saw, it sometimes happens with Bayern Munich, but when you saw Germany beat Brazil 7-1 in the semi-finals, there was a bit of like, ooh, this is not good. Do you know what I mean? It's like seeing Germany demolish another country.
And the pride in them.
I didn't see much. It wasn't, because Germany are pretty humble now with national pride. It's not like if we beat a country 7-1.
Oh.
If we beat Brazil 7-1, you would not hear. Germany are pretty humble about it because they're scared of their own power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was more watching that. There was a moment like, you could see it in some of the German players' faces. It's like, okay, I'm feeling good. We are absolutely efficient machine. Yeah. We just need to like let some steam off because we know where this
do you think goes. They all kind of individually had a kind of like that felt good, you know what I mean? Like they felt the power and it was like they loved it.
Yeah, they realised how much they loved it and like,
how much that is in them.
Yeah, and how much that is in them, because it's like Germany could be Germany and Japan are like the two most efficient nations on earth. And they can be a real power for good, as we've seen. Like, they make such cool shit. And like, Pokemon. If you take away their military, they're great. But let's not beat around the bush. It's under the surface.
Yeah. Well, look, there's still some Japanese soldiers out there. That's a fact. Because they're scared to surrender. That's how much they believed in the cause. They're still finding them today. It's like when there's like a unexploded bomb in the Thames.
Yeah.
There's a Japanese
guy on a Pacific island.
In the Pacific Islands. You know, what's he thinking? When you bring him back, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, who's he gonna rally up? Has he built a new civilization on the island? Is it, you know, I'm just like, I love Japanese culture. I love German culture. I think they're both amazing countries. But we got to keep an eye on them both.
Yeah. What one do you prefer?
Japan. I'm more into Japan, but I think that's more because it's so like foreign to me that it's more exciting and exotic. Yeah. I look German and I feel there's a German in. I haven't done an ancestry test, and like from what I know, I'm not German, but I look so German. Yeah. I do feel there is a deep Germanic.
Some stones better left unturned.
Yeah.
right. If you don't know, then you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Okay, but back to the US election. Yeah. It is the kind of sort of the perfect election for 2020 because it's just been like the wildest year that at times I have really enjoyed. Like it has been a truly extraordinary thrill ride. And why wouldn't this election be absolutely mental?
Yeah.
And like most things in 2020, we can't comprehend how mental they are because they've all happened in such quick succession. And it's like if you're trying to look at a painting and you've got your nose pressed up against it, you won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
Like we need 10 years before you realise what the fuck was that year? And that's what happened. The election has gone on for like 2-3 days, still hasn't finished. And we literally have a US president saying that he's won when he hasn't.
Yeah.
Like, that is genuinely mental. But for us, that's like...
It's not even that bad, though.
Comparatively. Yeah.
Like, I was thinking, like, the last couple of days have actually been quite nice because I haven't thought about the sort of deadly pandemic.
Yeah.
It's been a break.
Yeah.
Actually, like, watching...
It's like when the deadly pandemic came and it was like a break from Brexit. And it's just like, it all keeps popping. It keeps shifting things along.
Black Lives Matter.
Oh, whoa, that's a new...
And then it's like there's a new thing to keep us distracted from what could be an endless pandemic by the looks of it.
Mm.
But we're not here to talk about that.
No, we're not. We're
talking about the endless pandemic of hate in America. Yeah. So I'm a lib. I've got a New York Times hat.
Okay, well, you can be the libtard for this, and I'll be. I can take up the proto-fascist kind of position, so we can create a false diversity of opinion.
Yeah. And this is too tight, which could be a metaphor. Yeah.
But you don't know what that metaphor is, do you?
Look. Fake news.
Was that what the metaphor is?
I don't know. Why are you pressing me when I obviously don't know?
But I genuinely felt like I did an episode of Boys Gone Wild on Joe Biden where emotionally I did say don't vote for him, and it came from a genuine place. There was no ironic detachment. It was because
you said don't vote for Joe.
Genuinely said don't vote.
Who did you say vote for?
I
Trump?
said don't vote.
Not
and
even
I've never
for
said
Kanye.
that. Not even, maybe for Kanye just for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
And to show that you're not doing it out of laziness, so that you like turn up in the booth and like vote the third person, so it's not pure apathy. But because of the way they'd fucked Bernie Sanders over twice to get shite, boring candidates.
Do you think Bernie would have won? He wouldn't have, would he? Thinking about it.
He would connect with the white working class more than Clinton and maybe Biden would.
The thing is, I think Biden does have a sort of an appeal to an old Michigan white guy. You know?
Well, like the New York Times. Yeah, I know what you mean. But with Sanders, seeing the reason like Florida voted Trump, is because one of the big reasons they got Florida Latinos, who are like Cuban or Venezuelan, a lot of their heritage, is because Trump said Biden's a socialist.
Yeah.
And they couldn't be further from the truth. Biden's got almost identical economic views as Trump.
Yeah.
But because Trump said it, and the hatred for socialism in those immigrant communities is so high, that's why they vote for Trump. Like a lot of the talking heads when I was watching the election was that. So Bernie, who has compromised by becoming like a social democrat, but in his heart is genuinely a socialist.
Yeah.
That could have been quite explosive, and maybe he wouldn't have won. But though it's good to get Trump out, and there's a couple of things that Biden would do better, I am so upset that the Democratic Party were all in their power, even though there's a lot of genuine support for Bernie Sanders, to make sure that anyone but Bernie won, because they're basically more scared of Bernie than they were of Trump, because Bernie actually has a different economic policy to what's status quo since Reagan, which is centrists and the right have just the same thing. They just, one's more politically correct than the other. But Bernie actually was going to threaten the super rich. And seeing how they did that, one with Hillary Clinton with the bullshit super delegate and that whole thing, where it was just absurd, how they basically weighted the votes for Hillary supporters more than Bernie. And then when Biden came and all the socialists stayed in the race, Warren stayed in the race as long as possible to split Sanders' vote, so that it was the clearest route. And then they ended up with their champion. They're like Brad Pitt and Troy, it's like the champion in front of the army. Who we got? And they realized it was Joe Biden, who's like the least inspiring figure. And in the most like powerful democracy in the world, with 350 million people, where arguably anyone can run for, or like start a career where they're trying to run for the most powerful position in the world, how have we ended up with this fucker as like the king?
Yeah, I would say out of all the Democrat candidates, he was my last place.
Yeah, genuinely. Because it's also like, sorry, go on.
I was Andrew Yang all the way, Yang Gang.
Yang Gang. Were you Yang Gang over Sanders?
Yeah.
How come?
I think Yang would have won, for sure. He gets a lot of like internet bros. Have you seen it on Ben Shapiro? Like, this is why I like Yang, right? If you type universal basic income, it's Ben Shapiro on Joe Rogan, and the title is why Ben Shapiro doesn't like universal basic income.
Yeah.
If you watch Andrew Yang on Ben Shapiro's show, he's got nothing to say to him, because Andrew Yang has arguments for every single point. And Ben Shapiro by the end is like agreeing with him, because he can't argue with him, but then he just like waits till he's gone and then goes on Joe Rogan and says he's talking shit when he's got no one to like. So I'm Andrew Yang. I think universal basic income is the future. It's inevitable when the machines do all our jobs.
Yeah, fully automated communism. Hopefully we'll have a robot. Yeah, but we'll be one of the later ones to go. Like the robots. It's easier to make a robot who can like be a mechanic and like fix cars and shit than it is to get like a stand up. Even though it'd be annoying if they discovered that robot first.
Yeah. And we just like had to become mechanics.
And it's like, how the fuck are you still in a job? And we've been kicked out. How are we the first people to get automated? Podcasters and stand-ups. Where it's just at comedy clubs, it's all just robots with like perfectly tailored sets for every room. That's just what we can't compete. Like, you can't follow a robot who's like scanned the room and just worked out how to absolutely destroy any room. Like incredible prop comic.
And it's so good. It's like you hate it because you've lost your job, but you also like go to the clubs because it's so good.
Yeah, because it's so, like you hate it because you lost your job,
but you're just like cracking.
But he scanned you and realised what the exact thing you found funny, and you've got headpieces where you're all hearing different things, and it's all the perfect set you could possibly want. So you're dying laughing.
Like, that would actually be amazing. Like, I would love that.
I mean, I'm a comedy fan first and foremost. So for the art form, why wouldn't you automate that shit? You know. I like Yang Gang because he was like this new breed of progressive where it's like the world's gone weird. Not everything's as we thought it was. So you just got to have like new exciting ideas that don't fit into traditional things. Like even for a second I thought Sunak had like a piece of that with his like eat out to help out. Like that was like, that's like a beginning of some ideas that I'm like, that's like a fairly new bold way of thinking about things. But then like Sanders and Corbyn, they're just so tradish. And I love them both. But it's not, they're not like internet ready bros. You know?
I just think Bernie would be, if he did get in, he'd be a four-year president.
What? Because he's so old.
Everything would. No, I just don't think he'd get in again. I think they'd block everything. He wouldn't get what he wanted done. Whereas I feel like if Andrew Yang got in and passed universal basic income, which would have to pass because it's the only thing he's running on, right? So it's like there's a mandate, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like universal basic income would be really popular, and it would just be forever, you know.
Yeah. So it'd be like something like minimum wage.
I just don't think you can start taking it away from people. Whereas you can take welfare away from people because not everyone's getting it.
Easy.
And people that get it traditionally don't vote as much.
Yeah. And also, like, for papers, it's like the easiest to demonise.
Yeah.
Welfare frauds, like that's like a walk in the park to make them look demonise them. One thing, I do support universal basic income, of course, but I would be lying if there wasn't certain fears. Like, if we have universal basic income, think about how many comedians there'd be. Yeah. Because there's too many of us at the moment, especially like white straight men like me and you. Yeah. Imagine how many more of us would happen if it's like, oh, you don't have to work a job. You can just like survive off universal basic income.
I feel like it's the white guys that are doing it anyway, though. You know?
How do you mean?
I feel like white guys have more money generally, and also are just like, fuck it, I'm gonna be really successful. Sure. Have that confidence. Yeah. So I feel like, you know, we're already in that section. We're part of the problem.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
You know, like you bought a neon, you know, that's investment.
Oh yeah, I forgot to even fucking bring this up. Sorry, thanks.
You've invested.
Yeah, I was meant to open this by saying we've got a new sign, a new neon sign. It's one of the most expensive things I've bought personally, which has no essential need. Like the camera's obviously more expensive and the mics, but I use these for my day job and I've made that money back. Yeah. This is pure luxury.
And if you had universal basic income, you'd just have a bigger neon, really, when it comes down to it. But then all the podcasts would just have like neons. You know?
I had this shit from China as soon as I moved to London. When me and Andrew were kitting this out, Andrew, my co-host, not Andrew Yang. Yeah. Just in case you were still on that pattern. We saw this and it was way too much money. And as listeners to the podcast will know, I'm really broke and like my dad's broke as well. So it's like a real tough time. But I had to get it. It's one of those things. I never have those. I'm really disciplined with money in that way. Yeah. But I saw it and had to get it and it cost way too much.
Yeah. It's good though, because I actually have looked into getting a neon myself for my comedy night that I used to run, which is obviously cancelled.
The Jerk Store, great comedy night.
Jerk Store. I was never booked. We were gonna get a big old neon, but it was too expensive. Yeah. And then it was like, where are we gonna put it? Because the venue isn't our own, you know. Yeah. So we didn't, but you did. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's it's because of this type of podcast. It is an aesthetic investment. I think these are the things that are going to, you know, when the apocalypse comes and hyperinflation's happened. Yeah, money's worthless. You know, that's going to be a huge thing to haggle, isn't it?
Yeah, because everyone's going to be like wanting to start a podcast. It's like the only way out.
Money is worthless, but clicks on YouTube are the only currency left. Yeah. So you wanted Yang in. Yeah. I wanted Sanders in, even though I do fear of his fate. I just think he's a truly good person. And though Yang, I think, is safe, I don't think I don't know enough about Yang, but Sanders is one of those rare people who I genuinely think is deep down good.
Yeah.
And it would be fascinating experiment, like Trump's a great experiment. What happens if we get like a president who probably isn't a paedophile? Like, try it for the first time.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They'll ever do that. I don't think that's why they've never had a woman. It's not because they don't want a woman. It's because women are traditionally not paedophiles.
Traditionally, they're far less. And if they are paedophiles, they're normally hebophiles, which is...
What's that?
Hebophilia is between the ages of 12 and 16. So it's like once they're after puberty, but still below legal sex age. So it's like, it's a different type. That's normally done because they're vulnerable and it's like all you can get, as opposed to paedophiles who... It's because of a genuine sexual fetish.
And I feel like you get a few that just love like organising paedophilia, you know? Like there's quite a few.
Yeah, when you find out like about online sex rings, there is like people who seem to like want to be involved in the group, but don't have the balls to like be an actual paedophile, who just like the admin side. But it's weird because you get some of the people like that in comedy. Who like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But comedy who like, there's like they run nights but don't really do stand up. They write jokes, but I kind of too scared to do stand up. But I'm kind of in awe of people who can do it.
Yeah.
But that makes sense because comedy, it makes sense. I don't really understand. One of the most heinous groups in the world. I don't understand what the
it's like how do you become like a fan? You know? I guess through the music, which there is a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, to be fair, the paedophile culture has similar to Korean culture, which has had really gone through a golden age over the last 10 years.
Yeah,
20 years probably.
I feel like before that, started with.
Well, it's in Mood for Love, Old Boy.
I was thinking like Michael Jackson.
I was talking about Koreans.
Because Old Boy is kind of like paedophile film, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
He fucks his daughter. Spoiler.
No, he can't. It's a great film. You should watch it.
But not on purpose. Oh yeah, good excuse. He knew 10 minutes in, mate.
Not on purpose is, that's the mistake they all make. That's what Roman Polanski said. So no, I was talking about Korean culture, not paedophile culture. But sorry.
Korean culture, they obviously won the Oscar, the Koreans.
Yeah, but that was sort of like, it felt like an award for 20 years of good work.
Yeah, I do think as well, Parasite is the best Korean film.
Ever?
In the last, since Koreans have been allowed to win on Oscar.
No, because do you know what pissed me off about the Parasite? It's a great film, and it was better than all the other nominees, and it should have won the Oscar. But what was funny about that is it's like, wow, Parasite won. This is a great moment for world cinema. That was a worse moment for world cinema there's been, because I was convinced that you had to be English speaking to be nominated.
Yeah.
And the reason why so many better films than what have been nominated have not been nominated is because they're not English speaking. Hence why they have the category foreign speaking. It's fucked, but at least there were some rules, and it was clear why geniuses, talented auteurs, and great films were overlooked consistently. And it's like, you have to accept it. It's an American war. They're doing. But as soon as they were like, oh, that film's so good, we're going to bring it in. It basically just shat on 100 years of foreign cinema. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? True. As soon as Parasite won, I can imagine just like every other country is like, wait, you mean we had a chance of winning this whole time?
Yeah, like Slumdog Millionaire one. Like, think of all the shite. That's one. The Artist.
Fucking The Artist. The Artist, which has had no staying power.
No.
The King's Speech. Fucking Green. I haven't seen it, but the Green.
The Green Book.
The Green Book, the one with about racial relations. Yeah. You know what it is, though. You don't need to see it. You've seen the poster. You know the film. You know exactly what it is.
That's classic New York Times reader. Yeah, that's thinking like they know about racism.
Oscar bait. There's no interesting shots in it, but it's put a lot of money into it. There's nothing new it does. But it does. As soon as Parasite won, I was like, that's just so fucking rude. to Fellini to Kurosawa to fucking Bergman to like all of the greatest filmmakers ever. None of them have even got a sniff in, and it was because they were shit apparently, according to Oscar.
Yeah, that is. But my thoughts on it are that it is from an English-speaking perspective. So it's just like, is this film as good when you have to read subtitles? Like, because at the end of the day, like a amazing English-speaking film for me is always a better watch than an amazing film with subtitles.
Sure.
But it's like two great films, and then it like goes that it's
down a notch.
And I think even Parasite, even with the subtitles, it was better than anything that year.
Okay.
You know, where it's just like there are other films where, but then obviously shit films have won. So I'm not arguing for that the Oscars, because the Oscars has left off loads of great films.
Yeah, but it's more like I genuinely had no idea that non-English speaking films could win. So it's like now it puts a lot more pressure on the Oscars, because next time the time comes around, it's like, are we really going to just keep putting the same shitty films in the nominations?
Yeah, you just know. I feel like the films are getting less like that though. You kind of, there are a lot of films that would a few years ago would have been nominated that aren't, you know, where it's just like a biopic of a
so boring
figure.
Nearly any Oscar-winning biopic, it's like the most tedious tame shit.
I just don't watch that shit.
But I think the Oscars has got worse, like what's been nominated and stuff. But like Cannes got better, is what I've noticed.
Do you see? I feel like,
because I say like there was like 2017 Cannes. It was like a Lynn Ramsey film. David Lynch had something there. Yorgos Lanthimos, Ruben Östlund, like all these like mad new European directors. They all had Michael Haneke, like all had these fucking bold, crazy films that like was like the best year of Cannes I've seen in my lifetime. Followed by, and that year was the one which like the Green Book won in the Oscars. So it was like,
yeah, that is bad. That's in the category of like bad winners. You know?
Yeah, for sure. But it's also like because you know a bad winner if it has, everyone forgets about it. Like I genuinely haven't thought about The Artist for 8 years,
and that was all everyone was talking about.
Was talking about. I've never seen it, but it won like 15 Oscars or something ridiculous, didn't it? Like best script. That's a silent film, and I feel we might have veered slightly off. Topic.
But American culture is number one. Is the moral of that?
Yeah. I guess all of this is technically to do with the state of US politics. But going into this, we were discussing the election a lot over text and like our views, and I feel bad because it is irresponsible, but I did want Trump to win in my heart.
Did you? I feel like I kind of thought Trump was going to win.
It's not because I think he's awful. I think he's worse than Biden. I think his politics are worse than Biden. I think he'll damage the planet more. But I've reached a point where because I'm so uninspired by Biden, I just think I'd enjoy the news more with Trump in.
I think Trump,
and that's why it was more like a gut feeling. Obviously, if I was in a voting booth, I would vote for Biden. I've changed my mind. I would vote for Biden. But every time Trump started looking like Trump was going to win, I got excited.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, but I think this next chapter for Trump is gonna be. I think it's gonna bring new life into Trump. I think Trump is getting old, like old hat.
Yeah.
You know, you're saying like in the primaries, like his kind of,
sharp,
and then in the election, with
it wasn't
his best
sharp.
ever line with Hillary, where she was like, "Do you want someone with this temperament in charge of like criminal justice?"
Yeah.
And he went, "Well, because you'd be in jail."
Yeah.
And it's like that is just such a line,
such a good line.
He hasn't really had anything like that, you know.
No.
And I feel like he's getting a bit stale. Like season 2.
Yeah, because even Biden was getting like Biden with his his only line, which was like, "Well, you shut up, man," which was like the biggest like cuck line ever. But that still was one of the talking points. It's not like Trump had any one-liners.
Yeah, that was so. Man,
will you shut up, man?
Yeah,
We were discussing this as well, is that maybe something that has got me excited about Biden is there's a chance now we're going back to regular programming, is maybe satire might be able to come back, because Trump has really shown satire up, and shown how weak a lot of the satirists working today are, because he's unsatirizable, he satires himself, and all those liberal talk shows like Trevor Noah, Jon Stewart, which kind of boomed during the sort of Clinton, then Bush, then Obama, kind of right centre, left centre. That's when people would go there and genuinely have takes. But now when you watch them, they're so weak, because it's like, what are you saying? Oh, Trump said this, he's an idiot. It's like, that's not a take. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it will be interesting that maybe satire might be able to come back with Biden.
Yeah, and also, I think there's also a big possibility, and maybe one that we're all hoping for, is that he could die soon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not hoping for it on a personal level. But
no, I am.
But you're on a personal level. Yeah. Politically, for the story I'd do it for the Vine, for sure.
It could be good, like Kamala Harris getting a black woman. If you think of American culture, like top American sports person, Serena Williams, black woman. Top American recording artist, Beyonce, black woman.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like they got a history of producing the goods.
So you're saying,
I don't think we should kill Biden, but I think like if he gets sick, which he might, like
it's like, don't just take a bit of time.
Don't give him presidential care. Like give him like run of the mill.
Yeah, give him like
a run of the mill Biden, which is fair. It's not like you're killing it. It's like this is what everyone else gets.
Yeah,
and you're just gonna get that, which is fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't last.
He's like waiting in A&E for like 2 hours.
He could last 4. He doesn't last 8 with that care. Presidential care, he could last the 8.
Yeah. Well, presidential care, it's like they bathe them in refugee blood and stuff, like, and they sacrifice goats and shit, and like, you know, that you can't really fight. Like, age is just a number compared to that sort of shit.
Look at the royal family.
The stuff that they're on, that's like some mystical shit, and like. Children have to get sacrificed to the gods to like keep those people alive. But I think I'm trying to look for the positives, and maybe it's psychotic by me that my positives are more like when I open my BBC News app, what's going to excite me. And I guess maybe Biden being Sleepy Joe might be a bit fun.
Yeah.
Him being like an old man forgetting everything, that might be quite fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it work. There's not much to work with, seeing as Trump has like been so much fun for so long.
Yeah, I don't really like. What's his vibe? Like, what do you think he's gonna? Because Obama is.
His vibe like was he was mates with Obama.
Because Obama was like the basketball president, right? Like that was his vibe. He would do like cool stuff, like
he's the coolest president ever.
Oh, like I've killed a fly. That's on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna like shoot hoops.
Yeah, and like also like he would go on like chat shows and like out talk comedians.
Yeah,
and like be funny, witty, relatable, vulnerable, just like perfect, like speaking to the people where all presidents normally are just complete mess. What is Biden's? I guess it's the nice grandpa who, like the grandpa.
But he's not, because I think if you think of, I feel like his vibe is, which is why he's like super creepy, is his vibe in his head. He's 22 and handsome and successful and educated. And I think in his head, that's who he is.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't see himself as a grandpa, whereas Bernie knows he's a grandpa.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The one, you know, he's got the hair. He's all little. In. Like, I reckon, like, after he finishes, he like relaxes and he's got a neck again, you know. But then he like goes on and he's like, and like
the billionaires, the 1%, you know, he's like putting mustard stains on his shirt. And
yeah,
stuff.
like he gets a suit that fits him and he gives it back and goes, make it bigger, make it bigger. And then he like goes out there, and whereas Biden thinks he's like some like smooth talking, like Kennedy. Like, he thinks he's Kennedy.
Yeah, he does.
But he's an old man.
He thinks. Whereas Bernie, the reason why Bernie and Corbyn will ultimately fail in politics is because they think, let's give people what they've always been asking for, which is a good person who's genuine and the same on stage as they are off stage, like a genuinely authentic person. And that sadly doesn't work. But then what Biden thinks is that he thinks he's like playing 4D chess. Do you know what I mean? He thinks he's like this master. He's like Reagan. He's like, in a certain sense, Obama, where that he's so fucking smart. He's doing the politician games where he's like, I'm getting voters from this demographic, but actually I'm doing this. I'm, starting wars over here. I'm getting calls over here. And he thinks he's got that politician on lock, and he's got but he doesn't have the demeanor to carry it off. Yeah. The JFK was like starting like civil wars in Nicaragua and shit, and then still was talking to the press like a genuine person. He was dominating it. But Biden will be like fucking that shit up and then coming on, on stage and forgetting his lines and stuff, but in his head he's like in control and like dominant, but he's transparent is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he just doesn't have it, and there's a reason he's had to wait this long. Anyone who's you always get like, who's the next big thing, and then sometimes
Joe Biden.
Yeah,
who would have thought? Flavor of the month.
So I feel like in that way, maybe that's his thing.
His what?
Maybe his thing is but I feel like that's not what the media are portraying. I feel like maybe I should be in control of the
you are.
Fake media.
You're in control of the fake media. How would you spin Biden? Depends. You have to kind of decide. Are you like kind of like Corbyn, out to destroy him? Or are you? Is it like Blair? You're out to build him up. Like which approach are you going to take? You control all the fake news media.
Okay, so
the New York Times. You've got the hat for it.
So I'm controlling them all. New York Times. Let's say Fox. Okay, I control them all. Fox News. What I do is you set him up. Mm-hmm. You get like a attractive reporter to flirt with him on cam.
And he imagining himself being this.
He's like, of course you're flirting with me. I'm James Bond.
I mean, Joe Biden. Sorry.
Like saying stuff like, "Oh, they're picking a new James Bond. We kind of think it could be you." And then he'd be like, "No, maybe."
Yeah.
And you just set him up in that way.
Yeah.
And then if you're the NY Times, which I am.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I think you maybe again you deal with the old. I think you kind of lean into it like he's like the silver fox. He's an aging James Bond. Connery's dead. Doesn't matter. We got Biden. Maybe even get him to do an accent. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay, so you're throwing out ideas. Okay, so that's how you want to paint him in the media machine.
Yeah, although I don't think that's good. I think if I was his kind of manager, I'd say lean into the grandpa, maybe grow a moustache. Because he's not going to be like doddery grandpa like Bernie, like, oh.
Yeah.
He's going to be like wholesome moustache, kind of like, I used to play sports grandpa.
Yeah.
Like in a...
Even though, is it me or do you find when someone's that age is like, there's something weird about him being clean shaven? That his face just looks a bit translucent. Do you know what I mean?
I think some facial hair would really help.
I think it need to cover it up because he thinks he's pulling it off because he still thinks he's a 25-year-old gorgeous man. Yeah. But it makes me a bit uncomfortable, like having that much of an old man's face on show. Yeah. Have a bit of dignity, cover it up.
Yeah, I think facial hair could actually be the key.
But facial hair is pretty communist in Americans' eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're a leader and you have facial hair, you want to...
I think a moustache is the way. I think a moustache is the way. I think a big beard is very, Soviet.
It's either Soviet or Kraft Daily, and both have their issues.
Fidel.
Fidel or kind of Beer 52. And both have their bloodshed. They both have a history of bloodshed.
Yeah. So. Whereas moustaches have a great history of world leaders.
They do.
All the big boys.
The Tash gang. what do you think's going to happen in the aftermath of this election?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we probably should have started with that.
Do you think that's like, because you said that's a good question, but the implication was that's the first good question, basically.
Yeah, I think we've chat a lot of shit so far.
I mean, we did start 10 minutes. The opening 10 minutes was about what you had for breakfast.
I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's actually gonna just go pretty smoothly for Biden and the Democrats. I think Trump is going to be kicking up a fuss, but I think all the people that surrounded him, I don't think are going to be like, Pence isn't even saying anything. No one's saying anything. Ben Shapiro's going on Twitter being like, he shouldn't have said that.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Shapiro's leaving.
So I feel like they're like, this is like the death cries, and he's done. But we want to live to fight another day, you know? And I feel like that is where the Republicans... And I think Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to get the nomination again, but I don't think he'd get it. And I think definitely a better move for him is to, maybe start a news channel.
Either a news channel or... Yeah, he's definitely going to go into some form of entertainment. Because, like, there's fairly intelligent sources who believe that the reason why Trump... there was a Michael Moore film called Fahrenheit 11/9 that posed the theory that the real reason Trump ran for office was because Gwen Stefani on The Voice was getting paid more than he was on the network. So he wanted to up his value as like a star. So it was like run for office in the way that Kanye would, where it's like a performance art thing. And then he just dominated it so much and never really wanted to be president because of the amount of work it is. And it's not really what he's built for. But because of his psychopathic need and hate to lose, that meant that there was no other option than fighting till the very last. A part of him 100% is relieved.
Yeah.
But a part of him that he's terrified of. A part of him internally that he is terrified of letting overtake him.
Yeah, I think he is... I think in the same way, he knew he was getting stale. And I think he would deep down know that this is his next chapter. Like being, when he was like the leader of the birthers with Obama, like saying he wasn't born in America. I feel like he's going to be that role, and he has his like, it's not 50% of the population, but he's got this cult of Trump that will just back him no matter what now. So I think he's just going to take those people and do whatever he wants. He could be. He's going to have.
He's strong enough that he's going to have like a fan base which Bush wouldn't have had. You know, who people don't care about. There's not like huge George Bush lovers still. Yeah. But there will be Trump until they die. But so after a president is done with his time, they often become like an elder statesman sort of figure. Blair started becoming like a political consultant, doing talks around the world.
Envoy to the Middle East.
Envoy to the Middle East, which is like, as far as banter goes, it's hilarious, but as far as politics goes, it's an absolute disaster. Yeah. A real kick in the teeth for the million Iraqis who died in the Iraq War. It's like he caused the biggest war. He was a major factor in causing the biggest war in the Middle East, and they were like, right, we need someone with experience to tidy this up. But it's like, I'll do it. Which is, to be fair, it's a bit respectable. Yeah. It's like, hey, you know what? It's my mess. I'm clearing that up, It's like being in a club and you throw up on the floor outside the toilets and a guy goes to clean it up and you're like, no, this is my mess. I'm clearing this up.
That's kind of like noble, but also a bit obnoxious. It's like
performative.
Yeah, it's like that guy doesn't want to look at you. Like he's gonna have to clean up. You're just gonna scoop up a few chunks.
And it's not properly doing it.
He's gonna have to mop it still. Like it's just get out of the fucking way. He doesn't want to look at you. Go home.
So after power, centrists normally go into like being paid a lot to do talks around the world. You can become an elder statesman type figure, or you can do what I respect Bush for doing, which is painting. That's what he does. He's on his ranch and he's just started painting his
George
dog.
W.
Yeah, George W.
Yeah.
He's gone into just painting and like has done absolutely no politics since. He's hang out with Ellen a couple of times, but he's not. Most politicians keep their foot in power and see what's going on. Like they can't help but wanting. They've had power for so long they can't let go of it fully. Yeah. But he fully went for painting.
I think as well he left very unpopular George Bush. And I think he's clawed it. He tried to claw it back
by doing a bit of a Biden, which is like cuddly granddad.
In with Ellen, in with Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
because they're always sat next to each other, aren't they? Yeah. Like just in the way they.
But also, I think if I was sat next to George W. Bush, I think his politics and his career was disaster, and I stand against him in many ways ethically. But if you sat me next to him for like stately events, maybe 2-3 times a year. And we got talking small talk. You have to. It'd be awkward otherwise.
Yeah.
I think face to face, he's quite a folksy, sweet guy.
That was his whole appeal. It was like the classic. Who do you want to get a beer with, president? Like that is what kind of.
Because Jeb was the one who was smarter. Jeb was the one who was his actual dream to be president. Yeah. But apparently they did loads of target audience thing where they said like who, and George Bush, who everyone thought was an idiot, just like dominated.
Yeah, charming.
That's
all it comes down to, really. It's
he's quite charming.
And I'm not against that. Like I like Obama. I'm gonna say it. I know now it's like, oh, actually, like he bombed loads of people, right? Drones. So now we're not meant to like him, but I like Obama because he's charismatic. That gets me. That's how you get me.
Is that you're a simple guy?
I'm a simple guy, and that's why Biden doesn't have it. Trump doesn't have it as much as he wants to, and like maybe to like a kind of thick American.
Yeah.
He has something, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I like Obama. I like Kennedy. Like I like that. That's what I want in an American president.
You don't care about like destabilizing third world countries and stuff like that. You're about how comfortable they make you feel in the moment you're watching them on TV.
Yeah, because I think America is going to be America,
Yeah.
And I feel
it's sort of like a boys will be boys argument.
And if you try and do something different, I don't know how long you survive. Literally.
Yeah.
The grassy knoll.
Yeah, exactly.
Look into it. Yeah.
What do you think Trump's going to do as his role as a post-president?
Elder statesman. Yeah, that's what we were getting at. I think he's gonna not be that at all, and I think him having his own Twitter account and all of that is him being like, I don't care about any of this kind of reverence, I think he's gonna be like, no, I reckon he's gonna be in the public eye. I reckon whereas most of them you don't see him much, and when you see him, it's like a special occasion, like an old president.
And it's like a bit of nostalgia because they literally sum up 8 years of a time in your life.
And that is a thing as well. Like Trump is a 4-year president. I don't think there's been one in my lifetime.
Yeah. It's going to be short but sweet, but also more's happened in this 4 years than happened in the last 20.
Very memorable. So I think he's just going to be, I reckon he's going to be out and about. I reckon he's going to be on Fox News. I reckon he's going to have some kind of, maybe not like a news channel, but he's going to, get involved and try and make a buck from this. He's going to get his face out there. He's going to be living it large. Maybe he'll get a podcast.
Oh, I'd love that. What do you think? Now we're assuming Trump's gone, and I'm still confused about how I feel. This conversation has helped try and formulate those thoughts. I think this part of the show we should talk about the highlights because he's burnt bright. Not everyone loved him. Some people did. Love him or hate him, he was different. And I think I think we need to, and he had some real, truly inspired moments that are important to me in my life. I think one that doesn't get talked about now, Covfefe was a real. Covfefe was a real. That was a real highlight.
That was good because that was like, even though we knew that he ran his own Twitter account, running your own Twitter account and typing out the messages yourself are different, and that from then we knew he typed the messages out himself
with his fat little thumbs.
It wasn't like this is my words, but someone else has the phone. It's like he has the phone on him, 24/7. Like he's late at night watching Fox News tweeting. I've accidentally tweeted Covfefe. That.
So was Covfefe, was it meant to be COVID? What was it? Was it? Was it about?
No, it was meant to be about. It was. Wasn't it something to do with like there was like a conspiracy theory about coffee or something?
No. Or was it? It was completely. He completely misspelled a word.
Or was it COVID? But like early COVID.
It might have been.
But no, it wasn't. It was way before.
It was way before then.
It was
way
before that.
I'm gonna do a tiny bit of research.
I feel like it was something to do with like a Pizzagate thing, but with coffee. That is in my head.
No. You're talking shit now. To be honest, that's purely you're spreading fake news.
Yeah.
Covfefe. What I like is that it's got its own Wikipedia. Just the word Covfefe. Covfefe is a misspelling that Donald Trump used in a viral tweet that instantly became an internet meme. 6 minutes after midnight. On 31st of May 2017, Trump tweeted, "Despite the constant negative press, Covfefe." It was meant to be coverage. The word's meant to be coverage.
Oh, okay.
He deleted the tweet 6 hours later. That's what I like.
Yeah, that I feel like that's way stronger.
This is gonna die down. This is gonna die down, and it took him 6 hours. That's a bold man. Me, I'd delete that immediately.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think if you don't delete it immediately, you don't see it. You send it, whatever.
He's gone to sleep.
2 hours later, though, you see it 2 hours later. Do you delete it?
Yeah. No,
but it's already trending.
Or do you?
That's cowardly.
I mean, the one thing that
let it hang.
The way that Trump could have been more Trump, the only way that Trump could have been more Trump than his response is if he'd started pretending Covfefe was an actual word, or like leaning into that mistake and starting to coin negative Covfefe as like its own thing.
It's like I'll give you an analogy of why you should leave it out there.
Thank you.
Say you're just like at home, you're asleep. You get up, you go to the kitchen. You think maybe your housemate's around, but no one else.
Yeah,
he's got guests around.
Yeah,
you're downstairs. You're in your pants, right?
Yeah. You
got two things to do. You can scurry away like awkwardly, like, "Oh, you see me in my pants," or you can, you don't do that though. You've just got to pretend it's normal, right? That's what I would do. I would still get away. Like I wouldn't like hang out for an hour, but I would like have small talk and then go upstairs and put trousers on, right? Is that what you would do? Yeah.
That's a great question. I think a part of me maturing as a person and having more self-confidence in social situations has been that I would be able to deal with that better now. And I do think that's a great question. And so you're saying the scenario, if you've walked in the middle of the night and you don't know someone's there, you're in your underwear.
Yeah.
You can't.
No, I'm thinking more like it's like, say like 11 o'clock. But you've lied in, but there people downstairs are. So it's because I feel like at night it's almost like they're in like you're in wearing what you're 11 a.m. You're sort of like you're in the wrong, really. Like people are getting about their day.
I think arms by my side. Oh yeah, and then what I'd do is I'd come in, I'd notice, and there'd be like a split second. I'd be like, and then I'd own that moment. So I was about to say sorry, and then I suck it back in completely. See, like Terminator.
You're welcome.
Terminator C-Red. Hands on hips. Oh yeah. Sit down. Say. Can I have some of that coffee as well? That's in the cafetiere. I'd pour myself a coffee and then just start like asking questions and like really like start like asking things about someone's life and just like just do it until it's like completely sucked the nice vibe there was there, because you're refusing to acknowledge your parents, and you're just constantly asking things like, oh, so yeah, what does your mum do? Oh, that's really interesting. And like just like uncomfortable just how much you keep asking questions. It's like you're starting a podcast. It's like weird.
Yeah.
And then when it's like unbearably awkward, you go, well, and then you go, that's me.
Yeah.
So that was
that's the equivalent of not deleting the tweet, whereas I'm 6 hours later. And I think if you just see them and you're just like, oh, and you just go, that's immediate delete.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think we've covered the elections. Yeah. I think we finished that as a topic. I'm interested a bit about how are you as a lockdown person? How have you coped with first lockdown and this is the beginning of the second lockdown.
Yeah.
And we can only do this because it's essential work.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the NHS nurses need to be entertained.
Yeah.
And we're happy to help, That's the only reason why you've risked your life coming here.
Yeah, and I passed a sign saying this is like a high COVID area.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So. But you're doing it for essential work. It's like nurses
this is
don't
essential
complain.
Work, I haven't done comedy since lockdown started, first lockdown started.
Which is a part of the reason why, you will be a wasted talent,
Yeah. And I think that is, to answer your question about lockdown, I think I've done well in it, but almost like I'm too comfortable in it. Like I enjoy being just on my own at home.
You're a comfy boy.
I'm a very comfy boy.
Yeah. You know how to coach, where you can like coach. I imagine you're someone who can coach. And coach enough that you can keep your anxieties at bay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
you're someone who like you can watch a show that you enjoy and eat food you like.
Yeah.
And briefly, the din of the fear of your own mortality disappears, and it actually goes for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's when. I think at home is where I'm most comfortable. I like it there. It's warm. I've just got new windows put in actually, so the heating bill is gonna. So whack that on full blast. Yeah, I've been just having a good time. Guess what
the energy efficiency of this house is?
I don't know the scale, but I'm going to say 2.
It's on A, B, C, D, E. A is the best.
D.
E. F is the illegal. So we also can't work the heating, but even if we did, it has E energy efficiency, so that's all going out the window. These are single glazed windows in my room. And there's 4 of them, huge room. No way that heat would do anything.
That is why the sort of scenario of going down in your pants doesn't really work here, because you would never do that.
Yeah, it's freezing. It's not a comfy, warm, cozy house.
You wouldn't go. You'd trousers straight on.
No, trackies for sure. Anyway, sorry. As you're saying, back to the real shit.
Yeah.
Or did you finish?
So I haven't been doing comedy, but I've been doing podcasts, and that is the real comedy now.
What podcast?
I've got a podcast about the Great British Bake Off. Mm-hmm. It's called Baking Bad. It's on iTunes.
I've checked some of the clips. It seems very, very funny. I like it.
We have a laugh. We're actually getting listeners that just love the Bake Off, which is like, to me, the best thing about it.
Okay.
We've got, mostly Americans.
Really?
Because I feel like, here's my theory of why we get mostly Americans. Because I feel like here in the UK, Bake Off, you sort of will know someone that's watching Bake Off. It's like a zeitgeist show when it's on, It's maybe this, a few years ago more, it was like everyone was watching it. Whereas in America, you might be the only person watching it that you know.
Yeah.
You want to hear some banter. You want to hear what we've got to say about Linda, if you're watching. So I've been doing that. That's been doing numbers, like getting neon.
Has it been going well?
It's been going well, but then we're building momentum, and then the series finishes, which is what because we've done it for 3 years now. Every time, it's like by the end we're like, fucking hell, we're getting downloads, and then because we are on YouTube for the first time this series, but we're mostly podcast apps of subscribers. Sure. Yeah, we built, by the end, we're getting loads, and then series ends, and we sort of shut up shop till next
That's
year.
the problem, because you're topical, you're on the zeitgeist, you're building momentum, because it's much easier to, because it's so like...
Because we're piggybacking on like people.
A viral
if
thing.
You search Bake Off in the podcast app, there's like 3 of us, and we're like one of the main ones, you know?
One of the main ones out of 3?
Yeah, like, you know...
Are you the main one? Because if you're not the main one, you're not the main one, because there's 3.
Yeah, but I'd say like...
all 3 of you are one of the main ones.
Yeah, we're all one of the main ones. I don't think there's like a top dog, that's what I'm saying. It's like...
It's kind of close. It's close. There's no like absolute... You haven't annihilated the competition like McDonald's.
It's like the title race this season.
Yeah,
like,
anyone can win it.
Anyone can do it. And I say we've come on strong this year. Last year...
You've added video.
We've added video. I think
you're a veteran of the game.
We're a bit more into it. Like, we haven't been doing... Last year, I've got to say, we half-assed it. We weren't into it. We were... Oh, I can't do tonight. I've got a gig. That doesn't happen anymore. So
I can't do that. I'm going out with my girlfriend. No.
Not allowed.
Every night is...
Can I do a podcast with my girlfriend? Yes.
That's sort of where I'm at this stage.
Although I do live with my girlfriend, so we are allowed to do a podcast.
Yeah, that's for me now. Over this lockdown, I'm gonna keep having comedians on as guests. It's just gonna be a way for me to like actually hang out with different people.
Yeah.
So you're gonna start seeing some more guests who are like kind of stretching further into my like professional, semi-professional comedian friend group, just to like mates I haven't seen for a while, who you know, people who don't maybe have them as much skill or in opinions or intelligence as what my normal podcast.
Do you want to name some names? Or?
No, just the general idea. Yeah. But you know, it would be good for me to catch up and like see someone who you know I feel comfortable having conversations with. Yeah. But so you're a comfy boy. You're enjoying lockdown.
Cozy boy. Obviously, I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it. I want to get back to normal.
Do you want to get back gigging?
Yeah.
Well, why haven't you gigged? There's been plenty of opportunities.
There haven't. The thing is, though, what happened was I didn't get any gigs. I was like, fuck, I'll start getting gigs. And then I started getting gigs, and now we've gone into lockdown too. So, and now I feel like we're kind of done for the year. Like a few might pop up in December, but, you know, everyone's, you know, it's Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess my frustration is like, you are genuinely funny. What are your fucking goals?
The thing is, though, look, I was meant to have a gig yesterday, right? I was emceeing. Actually.
Oh, is that what the thing is?
First gig since Feb.
Fuck.
Holding it together on my own. Fuck. I wasn't that worried. I feel like I can slip into the groove.
Yeah, for sure. And like with your style and your thing, I think you'd be fine. But what is I'm doing it so I can generate more material so that I don't lose footing with other comedians who are working hard. And like I've found it, also because I just want to have new stuff so that when comedy does come back as well, I don't want to just go back to my old stuff that's like a year old already.
That is true, because I've got a bit about Upper Crust, and Upper Crust has gone out of business. So
that's a great bit as well.
So
but what are your goals? Comedy?
To be the best comedian in the world, like genuinely, and I don't say that as a joke.
Okay.
I want to be a top. I just want to be a comedian.
Are you going to be like a? So what is the dream for you? Would you just accept being like? Do you want to be like a comedian's comedian who makes enough from comedy to survive?
Well, what I'll say
is shitloads of respect, but no TV credits.
I don't think that would necessarily be my goal, but that might, because I feel like when you have a style in comedy, it's like people are like, oh yeah, comedians always laugh at your stuff. It's like, I don't write it to be like that. I write it so everyone laughs, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like your style is your style, and I just want to be the best possible I can at that. And I have like a freelance job that is really easy and well paid, and I can choose my own hours, right? Yeah. So I'm not like desperate to like get a regular paying like MC gig that gives you like fucking 50 quid a pop. Yeah. I rather like shoot for the top and
all or nothing.
Not all or nothing, but
so it's like you won't get out of bed unless it's a sitcom pilot.
No, kind of. I feel like sometimes you see people who go full time too early, right?
For sure.
And then they're trapped at. I won't mention names because then you can narrow it down. But they're trapped at, say, like a comedy club that does like an Angel Comedy, say, emceeing that every night, which is great.
But you get trapped.
But you know it pays enough. And you get trapped chasing the paid gigs rather than the gigs that are gonna, lead to bigger things.
And you're writing material not for potentially your own audience, but for Northampton Glee on a Friday.
and you don't have any money to go to Edinburgh, or you have to make decisions about Edinburgh that are more about like making money or losing the least money possible, which aren't going to be the decisions that are gonna
be the funniest ones
and or even not even talking about like comedy purism, but like get you noticed.
Yeah, for sure. I feel all I'd say is it's kind of inevitable for people of our generation we kind of have to be content cowboys.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not happy about it, but it is simply
that is
the new Astroplay.
I bought a tripod for my phone the other day, because I was in this gig. I was going to do loads of my bits and film them, get them online, because I don't have that many videos, and you've got to have videos, as you know. Yeah. I
well know. Because I think it's like I'm gunning to try and do this full time, hopefully, and reach for the stars. And there's not going to be that many spots. There's more white straight men vying to make it to the top than any other group, and now there's probably less spots than there ever have been.
Yeah.
And I'm just concerned that if I manage to make it to the top, we get on, it'll be banter if you were there too.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be there.
I hope so, because I think it would be fun if we're both big stars. You're someone who I don't mind being successul, because I think you've got the temperament that wouldn't piss me off. There's some people who would piss me off if they got successful, even if they deserve it. They just don't have the mixture of insecure and arrogant that I don't like. And you've got like a little bit of self-assurance, but you're not insecure. And like I just think, similar to Sam Ely, who who's a friend of the show, very funny. I want him to be famous just because I don't want it to get in the way of us hanging out.
Yeah, me and Sam Ely are definitely competing for the same spot.
For sure. What's that spot? Would you not think I'm in the running for that spot? Do
you're a bit more angry. You know, I feel like you're more of like an angry, not right wing comedian, but like right wing adjacent.
How do you mean? I mean, I'm a left wing comedian, actually.
You're a left wing comedian, but all comedians are left wing.
Okay.
Other than like two.
Yeah, but I'm like an actual left wing comedian as opposed to the fake left wing that most comedians. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the anger, a lot of people love the anger.
Yeah.
And that's what they want, because that's what they think comedians are.
Yeah.
They think if you're not an angry comedian, you're not a comedian.
Yeah.
But then some people don't like it. Or not don't like it, but some audiences prefer not to see an angry white man.
Sure.
And I feel like that is where you're in a sort of, maybe you're... There's actually not a lot of you around in London.
No.
Angry white men.
Yeah.
That are good. There's a lot of shit ones.
Yeah.
There's a few up north, Scotland. Mm-hmm. I think they're the ones you're competing with a lot of regional comedians.
Sure. But there's not many people who have the added layer of privilege as being posh and southern added to the white straight thing.
Yeah.
So like even another layer of obnoxiousness.
Yeah, and your name's Horatio.
And my name's Horatio.
Which I think it's good.
Yeah.
Because it's not...
I'm so far gone, I might as well be angry. I'm so far...
Yeah.
I'm so far removed from someone who has the right to be angry at this stage that I might as well be.
If you were a real, let's say woke comedian.
Yeah.
Not saying you don't have woke views, but if you were a woke comedian,
but woke is loaded, you know.
I would despise you because I'd be like, this posh cunt is like
telling me how to be right and like telling me what's, you know, what I should be thinking.
Yeah.
There's many like me. There's so many like me. So many like me.
There's so many.
There's so in London. The amount of
and I hate that.
I hate them all, man.
Because I just think like you're like fuck you. Like you're just you've had everything.
You've had everything, and then you're gonna tell me,
and you're trying to like pretend like you're for the people. It's like accept that you're not. You are the problem, and lean into it and say. My name is Horatio. And I'm going to have a sort of angry, cocky persona, you know, which is completely unearned. You know, which I think is way funnier.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? And that's your comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm actually moving away from that in recent times. So like you saw me when I was kind of at a more angry stage. So now I wear, seen these trousers?
Yeah.
Have you seen me performing these before?
I don't think so.
So I used to wear black trousers, but now I'm dressing brighter because it means that I look like a friendly white soft boy. So it like softens me a lot. And then I go to do my abhorrent views. Yeah. And it confuses people. But before I was quite dark colours and it was just like, it was too much. So there is a big shift. I'm moving away from that and I'm a lot more relaxed on stage.
Yeah, I think I saw you wearing all black and maybe even a roll neck and a blazer.
I did one blazer show. I never did it. I did two or three.
I was at one of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was probably one of the worst I've seen you do. I think people just looked at you and just hated you instantly.
I have the blazer right there. I tried 3 gigs with the blazer because I was trying to work it out. All went horribly. Truly awfully. And since I've started dressing like a comic book character, like a cartoon character. Like I'm in Pokemon.
You look like you like run a meme account.
Yeah, like
that's your vibe now.
Ever since I've started doing that, transformed the way that I can finally splurge my homophobic and sexist views. No one bats an eyelid.
Because you've just got like a trolley kind of
I've got a trolley.
Look.
There's like an
because it's like the glasses
there's
are
an
like
ironic detachment. But yeah, you saw me. I feel bad for a lot of people who saw me when I was like truly trying to work out because there were some really ugly moments. Yeah. When aesthetically and politically, I was trying to work out who I was on stage, and it was like it wasn't like a neat evolution. There was some grotesque stuff there. But yeah, I hope that you I hope that you do stick it out to the point that you can get in the big league.
Thanks.
We've come to the end of the podcast.
Yeah. How long's it been?
I mean, don't say that because when people say the time, I'll shave bits and off.
I didn't say it because I am a professional.
You are a professional. It's good having someone who's in the biz. Because it'd be funny if you said what time's there and then people see that it's a 20-minute episode. They know that there was a lot of editing.
To be honest, I could probably look at that. Knowing what we've said, I could probably have a guess.
Yeah. I want you to tell me what you think it is because I don't know what it's going to be. I don't think that I'm genuine. I end up never cutting much at all. Okay. On that note, I reckon it will be. So you can check on YouTube how long this is. 1:36. That's a great guess because that's definitely what's going to want. That's you really are a pro because I bet it's going to be around that. That is brilliant. Do you have anything to plug? So you got the Breaking Bad podcast. Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. Based on. And then all of that stuff is on my YouTube channel. Yeah. YouTube.com. Great stand-up clips on there. Harry Monaghan comedy. Yeah, and I've got clips and should have more coming. I've got a couple more in the bank, but they're not as good. So I was hoping to get new clips. Yeah. Because you opened with your Strong Boys and now it's just going to be... I opened with and I don't have a good video of the upper crust bit. So. Yeah. Okay. But look, I'm posting stuff on there. I think I'm going to do some reaction vids. Because they're quite big on YouTube. Sure. Yeah, so just subscribe to my YouTube. Subscribe to your YouTube. Follow you on Instagram. Harry Monaghan. And you're quite big on Twitter. Yeah. Vague. And you do something that... I was too late to the party. Did you get a ticket? I just don't get it. I've never had a tweet do well. I don't really understand it. It's not my ballpark. We're from a slightly different slightly different age group.
Yeah.
You're a Twitter gen. I'm Instagram gen.
Yeah.
You do something on your Twitter which sort of sums up my view of you, which is that you are genuinely funny, but you are doing things like Sam Ely does, which are like, you're sort of like doing things that might get you a following or success. You kind of pull against because you see it as almost selling out. Like Sam has a Twitter account where he's like this grumpy old man avatar, and he'll post loads of tweets, and anyone who tries to follow him, he blocks them. So
oh wow!
Followers.
That is
And then you have auto-generated tweets.
Yeah.
So do you want to run through that?
So I've got. The thing is, I feel like these have quite a following because I've got.
They are hilarious.
Just another manic ... Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, yesterday got a lot of traction.
Yeah.
You know.
So to explain what happens?
It just tweets every Wednesday, same time.
So you've set up a thing.
I set up a thing, so every single Wednesday. And then
automated, so you don't have to be on it. You tweet every single Wednesday. It's just another.
When I'm dead, that will still keep tweeting.
That would be terrifying.
And then
if you died in a horrible car crash and then like after the funeral or something, just a week later, just another Manic Wednesday, like
because no one will want to deactivate it because it will be like.
And tell some other ones.
I have the other ones. I'm not exactly sure when they go. It's just like once a month. Never give up on your dreams.
Sure.
Comes which I think just again lift the mood, and then just all the events. Christmas, 8 a.m. Merry Christmas. Tweeted. Easter. Can you do Easter? Maybe I don't have Easter. Halloween I've got.
Yeah, but what about with the weather ones, the funniest ones?
Oh, yeah, the weather ones. I've got weather-based ones. That every time the weather... Well, what actually did lose me a lot of following was every time it rained, it tweeted, it's bloody raining again. But like in the UK, it starts and stops raining all the time. And every time it started raining again, it would tweet, and I have like 30 tweets a day of like, it's bloody raining again. So I took that one off. And then after 31 degrees, but I might have put that up because of global warming, because it was tweeting too much. It's like every day of summer. It's a scorcher. Get the sun cream on. Every time it snows, wow, look at the snow.
Yeah, nice.
Every time it goes below 0,
yeah. It's like brrr or something?
Brrr.
Something like that.
Cold one today, double socks on. Something like that.
And then there's, whoa, there she blows.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favourite. That's my favourite one. That is the funniest
When
one.
the wind goes above a certain miles per hour, it is there she blows, windy one. Or something like that. It's windy today.
Thank you very much, Harry Monaghan. Follow him on Instagram, Twitter. He will also be... we'll be planning to might come into the BGW universe. You'll be seeing more of him. And yeah, thanks for listening. God bless the new king. Long live the king, Joe Biden. Ha 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 ha!